The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Talk to me, talk to me. Talk to me, talk to me. Looks like we're making up for lost time. Need you to spell it out for me. Bossa Nova on all night. It's like a type of alchemy. Introduce me to your best friend. I can come and slide right in. A satellite ain't even that far. I kinda wonder where you are. Already know I can leave it alone. You're on my mind. Already gave you the time and the place, so don't be shy. Just come be the man I need. Tell me you got something to give. I want it. I kinda like it when you
96.9 FM Guardian Radio today. Good sunny afternoon from the capital city of Nassau, situated on the island of New Providence, here in Oaksville at Guardian Radio Studios. Listen, it is a Wednesday. So I know I don't have to repeat what that means. Today is Wednesday, and we are in the fabulous month of March. So I want to start by wishing all those, of course, celebrating happy birthdays, a very special happy birthday to you all. May you enjoy your day, your month, and just embrace this new chapter of life. Wherever you are, whatever stage you are in, just embrace it. Live it day by day. Listen, I have a woman who in studio today who knows about people just leaving us in all stages of life. So whatever stage you are in, just enjoy it, because you never know when it can be your last. And there are a lot of people laying in cemeteries where shoulda, coulda, wouldas, hopes, dreams left unfulfilled. So today is about you fulfilling whatever it is you believe your purpose is. Everything and anything that God has called you to be, today is that day for you to stand in your power and live in your truth. That is dedicated to you today. So y'all know how we do this thing. We have to establish the protocol real early, real quick, take our first break very early on. So we want to give out the phone lines to call to be a part of today's conversation. So the numbers to call is 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, and anywhere from our beautiful family of islands, you can call into this show toll free at 242-300-5720. And our texters, I promise not to forget you today. I ought not forget you. The lines for you to be a part of this conversation via text message is 422-4796. And of course, our text lines is powered by none other than BTC, and standard text rates do apply. Of course, you can take us wherever you go. You gotta jump on the car. You miss it because the day could be so hot. You can stream us live on GuardianTalkRadio.com. And guess what? Download the Guardian Talk Radio app, because my friend all the way, hello to one of my good friends, all the way in Delaware, said he listens to Guardian on that app. I was like, so you stream it online? He say, no, I have the Guardian Talk Radio app. So listen, y'all behind, if y'all don't have that app, when y'all get out your car, y'all can still tune into the show and not miss a beat. Welcome to the WCW series. It is a Wednesday, and I am so happy and excited to have you with me. Shout out to all of our regular callers and listeners, and those of you joining for the first time, welcome. My name is Gabrielle A. McKenzie Anius, but you can call me Gabby, as you affectionately do, and we're going to have a wonderful day. Chris is going to take us into our first break, and when we come back, I am going to introduce y'all know I get excited about my guests, especially powerful, dynamic women who have contributed so greatly to this society. You know, I am honoring all of my favorites, whether they know me or not. I don't even know if this woman knew my name before I texted or called her today. But guess what? I am going to give her my tribute today in studio and allow those of you that appreciate her, love her, and honor her in the same way to be a part of this conversation as we get to know her better and honor her on this WCW series, Woman Crush Wednesday on Guardian Radio today. We'll be right back after this break.
Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, be the man that I need, baby. Talk to me, be the man that I need. Talk to me, be the man that I need, baby. Talk to me, be the man. I'd like to think you feel the same way, but I can't tell with you sometimes.
Mommy, guess what I did in school today?
Hold on, sweetie. Mommy's sending a text.
But Mommy, my teacher said that you're not supposed to text and drive.
I know what I'm doing.
Oh, look, Mommy, the Smith twins. Mommy, watch out! In 2017, approximately 54 people died as a result of traffic accidents. A percentage of these fatalities occurred as a result of texting while driving. Just taking your eyes off the road for 5 seconds can increase your chance of crashing. Remember, even the smallest voice counts. Texting. Brought to you by UB Radio and Guardian Radio 96.9.
Beulah, gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood. We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too? Of course we can. But we could be in deep trouble if they find out. We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami. So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles. Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas. Everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal. So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Already gave you the time and the place, so don't be shy. Just come be the man I need. Tell me you got something to give. I want it. I kinda like it when you call me wonderful. Whatever the time.
Wonderful indeed today is. Listen, welcome. If you're just joining us, welcome back to 96.9 FM. Guardian Radio today with Gabby. It's a Women Crush Wednesday. That's right, you heard it. We are talking about those powerful, dynamic, extraordinary women who are the pillars of our society, who has helped, whose very shoulders it is that myself and so many other young women stand on today. That's what we're talking about today. That's who we are featuring today. And of course, last week we featured Dr. Belinda Wilson, who is an advocate in our society, a union leader, a wife, a mother. Listen, she is so many things, and so many of you poured in with the flowers that she deserves. So today I know you're going to be excited. I know you're wondering, who to say is Gabby so excited about in the studio? She's so excited, like Belinda in there again. Who could this be that she's so excited about? Well, let me tell you. as we continue this series, you know, I'm focusing, like I said, on women whose impact has shaped our country in meaningful ways through leadership, service, and the courage to break barriers. Today's guest is a woman whose career has spanned business, politics, advocacy, and public service. She has built a legacy defined not only by leadership, but by pioneering milestones. Educated at the New England Institute in Boston, she made history as the first licensed woman funeral service professional in the Bahamas, helping expand her family's business, Butler's Funeral Homes and Crematorium, more than 3 decades. Her path eventually led her into national politics, where she served as a member of parliament and later a minister of state for social development, dedicating herself to issues affecting communities and families across the country. Her influence extended beyond our shores when she served as vice president of the Inter-American Commission of Women, advocating for the advancement of women on the international stage. But perhaps one of the most defining moments in her political journey came in 2016 when she made history once again, becoming the first woman to serve as leader of Her Majesty's Royal Opposition in the Bahamas. If you don't know who I'm talking about by now, today she continues to mentor and support young entrepreneurs while serving as a consultant with the Small Business Development Center Bahamas, helping to guide the next generation of Bahamian business leaders. Her story is one of resilience, service, and breaking ceilings that once seemed out of reach. And today, you, all of us have the opportunity to sit down with the woman behind the milestones. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, welcome to Guardian Radio Today with Gabby, Mistress Loretta Butler Turner.
Good afternoon, Gabby. I must say, what an exciting and amazing personality you are. You have got such a radio presence. Thank you very much for a great introduction. But before we even get into anything, it is International Women's Month. And I would like to send a shout out to every woman, every girl, every female within the Bahamas and within reach of our voice today. I just want to say Happy International Women's Day and Women's Day Month. You women are phenomenal. We are seeing you, and I am so proud to be a Bahamian woman like you, Gabby. Gabrielle A. Mackenzie Añez.
Yes, ma'am.
God bless you. Thank you for having me for a Women's Crush Wednesday here at Guardian Radio.
Oh, I appreciate you accepting the invitation because you, like Dr. Wilson, I have admired for such a long time. Your strength, your tenacity, your wherewithal in everything that you do. You have such a presence that shakes rooms when you enter. Before you even open your mouth, your presence commands respect, authority, and I feel like so many women can benefit from just hearing from you, your story, how it is you became the Loretta Butler Turner that we all revere today. So I want to kick this interview off the way I kick it off, very light. Just asking you the question before the politics and the public service. Who was Loretta Butler Turner? You know, growing up in this Bahamas, who were you before all of this and all of us came to know you?
I am so delighted you ask such a question because, you know, we as individuals, we think we're islands unto ourselves, but we must realize that we are a part of our ancestors. We are the product of what our parents have created. We are the product of the villages in which we have grown up. And so for me, I was born in very humble settings. In an area historically known as the Pond. My parents had a small home on Bay Street where my grandparents' homestead was just a stone's throw away. And back then, not many persons were born in hospital. So I was actually born at home and given birth by a midwife. At a very early age, I was taken to Long Island with my maternal grandparents because my parents had 7 of us, and I was the 6th of 7 children. And they said, okay, we're going to take her with us because you've got so many other children on your hands. So my formative years were actually spent in Clarencetown, Long Island. And of course, my grandfather was a Family Island commissioner. So I had the true Family Island experience. And I later came back to New Providence to be with my siblings and my parents, where I went to school here, both Kingsway Academy, St. Andrews, and then later on, after I wanted to pursue my actual professional career, I then went to New England Institute in Boston, Massachusetts.
Wow. So you come from a well-known Bahamian family. How did that influence your sense of responsibility and service?
I believe that one of the things that I'm very grateful for is that our family have always been very rooted in the church. That was the first thing. Church was the center of our lives outside of work. From outside of that, my grandfather and his children had built a business empire of service and food service and general merchandise. We actually were located on, which is just a stone's throw away from the artery of the Bahamas, Potter's Key. Wow. And so much of what we did was not just local, it was actually inter-island, because our parents also made us work in the businesses. We were the employees because we come from a big family. Our kids, kids were taught to work. And so we got to interact with people from all around the Bahamas, not just in Nassau, because everybody came to the Milo Butler store in the pond, either to bring stuff from the Family Islands or to purchase groceries to go back to the Family Islands.
Wow, so your family has been rooted in service, starting off from you all having to be a part of this family business. But what first sparked your interest in leadership? That is, you lead the business now. What first sparked your interest in that? I can do this. I can be a leader in whatever it is I do.
I think one of the things we were always taught that education is key. And education was a huge part of our lives. Whether it was in the church or whether it was in school, we were always taught that we had to be the best. We always had to achieve high goals. And I think that when that is infiltrated into your spirit, when that is taught the importance, I think naturally you begin to realize that to excel academically, there are others that are already looking up to you if you're actually doing very well. And fortunately, I must say that, from school days, in addition to my academics, I was also in theater. We did a lot of school plays. And then, of course, I did a lot of debating. I did a lot of public speaking. And so many of my teachers thought very early on that I would probably go into the legal profession. And so I was also a very talkative child.
We share that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that is a negative thing, because I think that, by being talkative, you can sometimes be distractive to others, but you can also have a very inquisitive mind. And so for me, that was very, very important, but I always got reports from school where the teacher said she talks too much.
I'm going to say that all the women I bring on, we have that in common, talks excessively in class. But you had a lot of moments of being a trailblazer in whatever it is you're doing. You became the first licensed female funeral service professional in the Bahamas. What challenges did you face entering a traditionally male-dominated field?
Okay, so I actually got into funeral service in the 1970s. I apprenticed originally under my father. I did not go off to school immediately because it really was not what I wanted to do. And I think my father, ultimately, being from a sort of very strong male-oriented family background, really expected one of his sons would have been the successor to his business. But in any event, in the 1970s, when I started working in funeral service, there was a stereotype. There was a stereotype that funeral directors were men. They were very, usually older men and stoic. So here I am as a young I thought I was amazing.
You were
sort of.
amazing, honey.
No, I mean, I thought,
you still are
I thought,
amazing.
no, when I say that, I thought that, I was like the it girl, back in the day, because I used to dabble in little modeling. But in any event,
and you're still dabbling, you ain't dabbling no more. You're doing it.
No, so but the first reaction, I think, generally from a lot of people was that, she's probably the secretary, or she, they stereotype you, and this is something that society has done for decades and maybe hundreds of years, where they stereotype females. Females are supposed to be nurses, teachers, all of the sort of female type things. So they did not see me as being a funeral director. So when I actually went off and formalized my education and came back, I think there was greater acceptance in that regard. Even for my father, I think he still was quietly hoping that one of his sons would have been the successor. But it was very interesting in those days. But now there are more females, and I think it's very interesting.
It is. So what lessons did the funeral service industry teach you about people and community? As somebody now very deeply involved in that, what lessons would you say you have garnered from that industry?
I think one of the things that, I think, first of all, you've got to have certain capacities in which to relate to people who are going through grief. Compassion, empathy, those things are very important, and they have to be genuine. We as human beings, we can pick up immediately on genuineness. And I believe that, death is, as you said at the top of your show, we must enjoy every moment, embrace every moment that we have. But death is so final. And it is sometimes a very difficult thing for many individuals to face. And so to have someone who is compassionate and a female, so I think the positive out of that is that men, not that men are not empathetic or compassionate, I think we as women, as child bearers, we have that ability, that innate ability to be those things. And so I thought it was a natural fit. And I think the lessons that I've learned is that, we all need love. We all need to be cared for. We all need to demonstrate care towards each other, especially as people are going through difficult challenges, and not just death. There are many things in life that give us challenges. And so I think that's a great lesson that I've learned.
Speaking of challenges, you have enjoyed rich political history. It is undeniable the contributions you've made to this society through politics and the women that you've inspired through your journey, because we've seen in politics we haven't had a lot of women stepping forward, especially early on when you joined. There was only a few women that had offered themselves, and particularly at the highest of offices. So I just want to ask you just a couple of questions. What ultimately inspired you to enter politics in 2002?
First of all, let me give credit to so many women that went ahead. There were women who fought for us to have the rights we enjoy today. Those were very, what we would call everyday common women. They were the women that fought for us to have the right to vote, the suffragettes. And of course, that came into being in 1961. And women were able to vote in the Bahamas in the 1960s. That is because of everyday women who we must celebrate. We stand on their shoulders. You had the Dame Doris Johnsons of the world. You had persons that came behind like Janet Bostwick. These are women that left an indelible mark and an impression on all of us. They will never be forgotten in the history of the Bahamas. So when I would have stepped into politics, frontline politics in early 2000s, I had, I believe, a roadmap. I believe that I had individuals that I could look up to, that I could emulate. And I must also give credence to Sylvia Scriven, who was a woman who held the seat that wanted me to succeed her because she was retiring from politics. I had no interest in politics. And it was Sylvia that actually approached me and asked me would I be interested in politics. Now, the funny thing you would say about all of this is that my family historically had been PLP. Sir Milo was even though he started his political career in the 1930s as an independent, in 1956 or thereabouts, he became a part of organized politics under the PLP. So all the politics that I would have known in my life, because subsequent to that, I have uncles that actually ran in elections for the PLP. Now you're saying, well, geez, Sylvia Scriven, but she would have been FNM. And I believe that one of the things that persons like Sylvia Scriven and the leadership at that time, that would have been the Honorable Hubert Ingraham, they would have seen potential in a Bahamian, not a Bahamian who's a PLP. And so when the invitation was extended to me, it was because of the relationship that I had shared with the Hubert Ingrams, the Janet Boswicks, the Sylvia Scrivens, Teresa Moxie Ingrams, all of those women. They were, for me, I guess you can call it almost like luminaries that lit the way. And so, yes, I went to politics with the Free National Movement, which of course caused quite a brouhaha and a stir, not just in my family, but also in the wider community. I'll never forget my first foray into Camp Road, where some very good friends of mine literally cussed me out and told me that Milo Butler must be turning over in his grave, that I have left the PLP to become a part of the Free National Movement. So those were challenges, but they were interesting. They were not insurmountable.
What was the biggest culture shock moving from business into politics?
That it's not easy. It's not easy. Even to make a decision is a very difficult thing, because when you become an MP, you're a legislator. Yes, you are a representative of the people, but you become a legislator in the House of Assembly. That means you're there to help enact laws, create laws, modify laws, and there are things that you will find very challenging because, of course, there's going to be opposition, there's going to be support, and so you've got to be very focused on the things that you want to achieve, that your party wants to accomplish. And when you're focused in that regard, you've got to be able to share that message. You've got to be able to share that vision. You've got to be able to sell that. And so it is not easy in terms of doing things like that. Another thing that people may think, they think, oh, well, you become an MP, all of a sudden you're a big shot, you're making lots of money. You don't make lots of money. As an MP, I think the salary still stands at about $28,000,
yes, it does.
which is not a whole lot of money. If you become a minister, you get, $65,000. But there are so many demands placed on your life. So you've got to have balance. You've got to understand that your family is still very important. Your kids are very important. The fact that you've got to show up to be in the House of Assembly, sometimes until the wee hours of the morning, to make sure that the work gets done. And then you've still got to find time, God forbid, if you're a Family Island representative, where you've got to leave this island, travel to that island, and still every 5,000, 6,000, every individual constituent wants to see you.
Yeah.
It's hugely demanding.
Wow. So what was the most difficult, with all that being said, what was the most difficult moment you faced in public life?
That's a good question. I think that for me, there was a huge turning point when I realized that I was elected deputy leader of the Free National Movement, which was a first for the Free National Movement. The PLP had a female deputy leader in Cynthia Mother Pratt, but we still had male leadership in the FNM. It's the election in 2012. I was stuck in Long Island. I came back to Nassau, and they'd already selected a new leader for the party because Ingraham was stepping down.
Yeah.
And they then said they will go to an election to determine the other positions in the party. So I just come out of a general election and found myself thrust into a whirlwind of a 3-week election, a campaign to try and become deputy leader, because I felt that the party was no longer as relevant as it could be by just having 2 men. Women make up such a huge majority of our population, but yet it was not reflective in the leadership makeup of our party. So it was very difficult. I prevailed. I prevailed overwhelmingly when I won at the convention. But I think the most difficult thing was the lack of acceptance because I was the only female elected.
Yes.
And very few of the males had very much admiration for me.
Wow. And we still see this reigning through our society as we talk about these political organizations. But one of the things that a very good friend says to me is, Gabby, a very good male friend, he says to me, Gabby, I blame you all as the women. You all make up the majority, but you all do not know how to organize yourselves. Put your petty differences aside and come together to support one another. That women, particularly in politics, allow men to divide and conquer, maintaining those roles of power. So I want to move into your historic
But before you move into that, there is some truth to that, what your male friend would have shared with you. But, we must also remember we are a very patriarchal society. And with that patriarchy, a lot of that comes out of what we study in in our churches and in some very fundamental churches where it is, compounded, really, where they say women are not supposed to lead. So I don't think it's just a woman's thing. I think it's even wider than that. I think it's cultural, it's religious, and you still have men that feel that they cannot be led by a woman.
So that brings us to your sort of historic. No problem. We need some more. That brings us to your historic leadership climb. And when we talk about that, you became the first woman leader of the opposition. And of course, our texters also have some questions that they wish to ask you. What did that moment mean for you personally? Not what everyone else thought, what everyone expected from you, but personally, climbing that milestone where you were able to organize your colleagues to have enough support in you to say that we see that there's that you are the best person to take us for next dispensation. What did that personally mean for you?
Let me say, first of all, remember I said that I was not admired by my colleagues? And when I say I was not admired, meaning I was not supported by my colleagues initially. Thank you very much. And I think that between 2012 and 2016, there was a shift, not just from me, but because I had demonstrated that as a woman, as an MP, as an opposition member of parliament, I was always prepared. I was always the go-to person, even though I was not the leader. There were only three of us that had previous cabinet experience. Okay? The other members were new. And so there would have been Nico Grant, there would have been Hubert Minnis, and there would have been myself. And so when you are in opposition, not only are you defending the work that your administration would have done, but you're also there fighting against what the government may be proposing that doesn't align with the values of what you believe. So I think I demonstrated that I was a very good defender of our administration. I could stand on my feet and speak, extemporaneously on any topic. I have excellent recall. And, I think it was over that 2-3 year period that those men that may not have been my biggest allies started to say, hey, you know what? This woman's always prepared. This woman is demonstrating leadership. So I did not have to organize them, to ask them to lose confidence in the then leader. They came to me. they came to me and said, listen, we want you to lead us. Now, remember, prior to that, I had already gone forth and tried for the leadership of the party in 2014. Yes. I was decimated. And so I no longer was even deputy leader of the party. I was then just an MP. So the history would reflect that when we went to convention, and the convention was called when I was totally unprepared, but I know that it was to displace me. And so I was just an MP when my colleagues asked me to become the leader of the opposition.
Wow. Listen, we are having such a great interview with Mistress Butler Turner, such a rich history across business, politics, empowerment. I mean, there are so many questions, texters. I'm going to get in some of your questions as well, but we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back to continue the conversation with my woman crush on this Wednesday, Mistress Loretta Butler Turner. We'll be right back.
I kinda wonder where you are. Already know I can leave it alone. You're on my mind. Already gave you the time and the place, so don't be shy. Just come be the man I need. Tell me you got something to give. I want it. I kinda like it when you call me wonderful.
You try to rest, but roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it, just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Unions is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. When you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Girl, you see how Cora eye look funny, all black up yesterday?
But she say she bump into a wall when she's running after the churn them.
Yeah, but last Saturday, you see her arm was all black and blue, right?
What you saying? You think something wrong between her and Jack?
I ain't sure, but you know Jack is a jealous man. I hear him and Cora last Friday. I hear him say he hear Cora have eyes for Junior.
Now you know that ain't true. Cora is a good woman, does mind her business, take care of them churn, and go to church every Sunday. So what you think we should do?
I think we should report Jack, you know. Cora don't say nothing, but silence hides violence, and we don't want to line up in the cemetery.
Not me. I ain't getting in nobody business, then Jack come after me, and I land up next to Cora.
No, man, we could call a text Crime Stopper. And remember, we can even get some grocery money for our tip.
Remind me again, how does this work?
We can call them in Miami at 328-TIPS or 328-8477. Or when we in the island, call toll-free at 300-TIPS or 300-8477. And if you don't have no minutes, use the Crack Crime Bahamas app, and we could text them, and the messages get on mix up before it leave your phone, so nobody can know what you saying.
So what we waiting on then? Let's go earn some grocery money.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Be the man that I need, baby. Talk to me, be the man that I need. Talk to me, be the man that I need, baby.
96.9 FM, Guardian Radio today. It's a fabulous, it's a wonderful, it's a fierce Wednesday. When you have that's right, put that THE in front of her name, the Mistress Loretta Butler Turner in studio. And we are really having a sit-down conversation with a woman who I believe you may have your favorites, But I have my favorites as well. And I believe that she has been a trailblazer, modern day. Yes, we honor the Janet Boswicks. We honor the Dame Ivy Dumont. We honor all of the women that came before her and came before us. We honor them all the time. All the time. But I feel like as a young woman for myself in modern day, those women have already moved off of the scene. A lot of the history that I saw, this woman was a part of government as I grew, so I saw her in action. She was my Janet Boswick. Along with many other young women were coming up and being able to really look and see. So it is at no disadvantage to any of the women that are still with us here today that she is being honored and given her flowers, because you never know the impact that people are making in other people's lives who they don't know, especially when it comes to women walking into rooms and feeling like they have a voice and that they can be strong enough to lead, and the opposition that she has faced and overcome. I believe today that she is deserving of her flowers. And like I said, I am not going to have to be contacting the funeral home to say, can I put a tribute? Can I put a tribute in the obituary? Because I didn't love LBT so much. I need to put a tribute. No. LBT can know I didn't love her. Long time right here.
Well, thank you for giving me these wonderful flowers while I'm alive. And just to put a plug in there, as you know, I'm out of frontline politics.
Yes.
I try to give back to the country in any which way I can, but I'm actually back in private business now.
Yes, and we're gonna talk about that. I see the phone lines lighting up, and she only promised me an hour today, y'all. So I could try and see if I could keep her for a little, maybe like 10 minutes after the news, maybe. But because there's so much, you have such a rich history, so many questions, and I want to get this text in before we go to the phone line. So callers, if you can, just hold a couple minutes for me. This text says, "Good day, Gabby and Queen LBT, Mistress Turner. It is awesome hearing your voice. Well, I am going to ask the question millions want to know. We don't even have millions of people in the Bahamas, but okay. Millions want to know. What was it like when Dr. Minnis decided not to allow you to run? How do you compare it to what you see is happening to Dr. Minnis? I think it's justice." That's coming in from our text line. Mistress Butler Turner, do you want to take it?
Well, I will say this much. It's amazing. History is cyclical, isn't it? Things that we believe would have happened for the first time have been happening so many times before. And I think that when you look at what is happening within the Free National Movement today, the texture is absolutely correct. It is the very same thing that was denied to me. And it's most unfortunate because sometimes we must walk in someone else's shoe to appreciate exactly what they have gone through. And I guess this is now not just Dr. Minnis, but others who, because it wasn't just me that was also denied the opportunity to run. All of the colleagues that had selected me to be their leader, they were all denied that opportunity. And you see the same thing happening again. So history is simply repeating itself.
Wow, and listen, that's all she has to say on that. My dear lady is a boss and a leader and a community service worker. She's been dedicated she's dedicated her life to service, but she's been diligently working to really help entrepreneurs in our society. And we're going to talk more about that right after we get some of these calls in, Ms. Turner. So I hope you would allow me right before the news to get some callers in. Caller, you're live on Guardian Radio today. Welcome to the conversation with Gabby and Mistress Butler Turner.
Hello?
Hi, you're live.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Gabby and Ms. Turner.
Good afternoon.
I only have two things to say. I always believe that you are our Mia Bosley. Okay? I love you from the beginning and what you stood for and everything.
Thank you.
And
that is so beautiful. Thank you.
Please, if it's possible, dump the PLP, okay? And please come back and try to be our leader, because I really believe that you were supposed to be our first female prime minister. I love you to death.
Thank you very much for your encouragement.
And thank you so much. Listen to me. I like I said off air, I truly believe that her words, everything she said, we've seen the characteristics. Sometimes people have to buck their toes to sort of learn lessons on what we were saying, because people aren't used to strong leadership. When they see strength from a man, they call him a leader. They call him passionate. When they see strength from a woman, they call her aggressive and a bully, and everything that negatively connotates with that. So I want to talk about more so your legacy, and what it is you're doing now, some more of your personal perspective in business and mentorship. You now work closely with entrepreneurs through the Small Business Development Center. What do you see as the biggest challenges facing Bahamian small businesses today?
Capital. It's very, very difficult for entrepreneurs to access the capital that they need. Now, having said that, let me just qualify a few things. Just last week, I had the opportunity to host the 16th anniversary for the Bahamas Striping Group of Companies. And they are now a multinational, multi-million-dollar corporation. That's how I would describe them. But they started out with a very small capital, $5,000. A lot of people, it's a very modest amount of money, which it is. But I think it also speaks to the fact that you've got to have a vision and you've got to be very persistent. So I know that capital is a big challenge, but planning. People have to properly plan and execute their business plan so that they can achieve the success that they want. So I do enjoy that. But there's another thing that I also do, which a lot of people may not know. I do mentor women in politics, nonpartisan, especially through the Caribbean.
Seawell?
Yes, through Seawell. I mentor, so I've been to Jamaica, I've done the Bahamas, I've done international webinars for women across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Absolutely. And so I think in giving back and helping to build leadership and helping for women to understand the dynamic of politics and the challenges they'd have. That is how I'm giving back, because I think that the next generation needs to have that sort of positive from persons who've walked the road before. So that is also something that I do. And of course, I do serve in another consultancy capacity, and I also serve my community through my business.
As we get to wrap up, you guys, because we're going to the news very quickly, I have just a couple more questions. Leadership is very demanding. All of these wonderful things you say you do in terms of mentorship, entrepreneurs, now mentoring women in politics, young girls. How do you stay grounded? How do you stay grounded in everything that it is you're doing?
I think, well, I'm also much older now. So I believe that a level of maturity comes about. But, and then you also have to realize that in all of the things where we feel that, personally, let me speak for me, where I feel that I may have been unfairly judged, where I feel that I may have been unfairly treated, I have released all of that. I do not live in the past. I do not allow hurt that others may have inflicted upon me to direct who I am today. And I think that, we've got to be happy. We've got to find grounding within our own selves. And we've got to surround ourselves with the village of friends that we have that reinforces our happiness. And so that is how I live my life. People say to me, oh, you look different. The thing is, I think it's just a matter of having peace. Inner peace is so important.
When you look back on your career, what do you hope that people remember most? And what message would you give to young women who are listening right now?
There are some things people will never forget that I would love to remember. I would love not to remember. They say, what's too painful to remember, we simply choose to forget. Well, I can't forget, and I doubt that people would forget.
What would you like for them to remember, though?
I want to, what I think I always look back on? Look at two turning points in my service in politics. One, when we had Hurricane Joaquin in the southern Bahamas, when I actually was able to garner a huge movement of Bahamians, expats, to bring relief to all of those islands, especially Long Island. And then when I was the MP for Montague, I tackled the whole revamping of Montague, even though my prime minister told me that he did not support me in it. And so today we have the Montague Park and we have the whole Montague fish thing. And I must give credit to Saul Kersner, who saw my vision as I was fighting for it. And he actually put up the first $2.5 million to make sure that we could have the beaches restored back in Montague. So for me, those are two amazing things that I really enjoyed doing, that I think made a huge difference in the lives of Bahamians in the Family Islands and also here in New Providence.
Wow, we have to go to the news break. I know you only promised me an hour, but can I get 10 more minutes? Just 10 more minutes just to wrap this up. So, ladies and gentlemen, right after the news break, we'll wrap up this interview with Mistress Loretta Butler Turner on our WCW. We will be right back after the news break.
I kinda wonder where you are. Already know I can leave it alone. You're on my mind. Already gave you the time and the place, so don't be shy. Just come be the man I need. Tell me you got something to give. I want it. I kinda like it when you call me one.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
Talk to me, talk to me. Talk to me, talk to me. Looks like we're making up for lost time. Need you to spell it out for me. Bossa Nova on all night. It's like a type of alchemy. Introduce me to your best friend. I can come and stop right in. A satellite ain't even that far. I kinda wonder where you are. Already know I can leave it alone. You're on my mind. Already gave you the time and the place, so don't be shy. Just come be
96.9 FM Guardian Radio today. I already gave y'all the time and the place, 2 to 4 p.m. on Wednesday. There's no mistake about it. You are in studio, tuned in to Gabrielle A. McKenzie Anis, but you all can call me Gabby, and the fabulous, the Queen Bee herself, Mistress Loretta Butler Turner. She promised to get y'all like I pulling about 10 more minutes from her. I slick like that. I slick like that because we cannot end the conversation because we're gonna shift gears and shift this conversation into a part 2. And we just wanted to kind of really wrap up. And as an advocate for women and girls and all this stuff, I could not let this woman leave the studio and I not ask her in on this. Could not let her leave. So, Mistress Butler Turner, before I let you go, I want to ask you a final question that relates to the conversation we're going to continue after you leave. In the Bahamas, the legal age of consent is 16 years old. Yet many of the decisions and protections that surround young people, from healthcare access or to other legal responsibilities, still require adult oversight. From your perspective, as someone who has worked with communities, families, and young people for many years, do you believe that the age of consent in the Bahamas should remain 16, or should it be raised to 18 years old? I know that's a very layered and loaded question, but as we talk about Women's Month and we talk about advocacy in the UN and fighting for equal access legally for these women and girls and all these stuff, that is something that has been on my heart for a very long time, because I believe personally that a lot of men are using this as predatory behavior for our young girls.
Well, this challenge is this: we have two levels. We say the age of maturity is 18, but yet the age of consent is 16. Therein is already a problem, because if you are an adult at 18, I can see your argument that consent should also be at 18. But I do not believe because the age of consent is 16 is why we're having such predatory behavior from men and from women as well.
yes.
You know, because it goes both ways. It's not just girls that are being preyed upon. Young boys are also being preyed upon by men and women. And so I believe that no matter what the age of consent is, we as parents have got to take a level of responsibility to instill in our children what is right and what is wrong, especially when it comes to unnatural behaviors by adults with whom we entrust our children. Case in point, my children are born to a household with a mother and a father. But it was my duty to share with both my son and my daughter all about good touch, bad touch, and what they need to report, no matter who it is from. It could have been my husband, it could have been an uncle, it could have been a cousin, whatever. So I think it's also really important that we not be afraid to talk to our children. One of the things that, as I grew up, that was taboo when they started to teach sex education in school, parents didn't want the school to teach their children about sex education because they thought it was such a taboo subject. I think that, you know, in all of the things that we teach, whether it's civics or whatever, sex education is very, very important because there's so much misconception within, you know, the groups of children and families. There's so much untruth. The kids, some kids don't even know, you know, how you are inseminated, how you're pregnated. And so I think that maybe when we revamp the entire educational system, we've got to have a very strong sex education class for all students. I think it's very, very important. I think good touch, bad touch has to be taught as well, because many times kids are intimidated by people who are supposed to be loving them, and they're afraid to report it. So whether we change the age for consent or not, I think education is key.
Well, there you have it. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep it. I already got a couple minutes over. And I want to thank you so much, Mrs. Butler Turner, for stopping in, sitting with me, and allowing us to really get to know you on a different level. Outside of the media, well, this is media, but outside of the politics and the heckling of it all, we really, truly got a deeper understanding of who Loretta Butler Turner as the businesswoman is, as the advocate, as the mentor is. And I appreciate you so much today.
So what I would like to say, first of all, let me thank you once again, because when you called me, as you know, I probably was a bit hesitant. But I must say now, in hindsight, this has been a lovely experience. Thank you so much for all the kudos you gave me. I don't think I'm deserving of them. And also thank you to the audience. And once again, I want to say a big shout out to women and girls everywhere. Hold your heads high. We do have a place. We do have a place where we can actually ensure that women experience and are all that they can be, and that is at the leadership table. Women, you deserve to be there. We need to help each other get there, and I will be an advocate from behind to make sure that women are uplifted. Thank you very much for your time.
Again, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to continue this discourse because this is Women's Month. And we have talked about all of the issues that our women and girls are experiencing. So we will be right back after this.
I'm so confident. I'm unstoppable today. Unstoppable today. Unstoppable.
more money back in your pocket with the Fidelity Debt Consolidation Loan. Why pay more when you can pay less? Reduce your monthly debt payments down to one low, easy payment. Apply for a Fidelity Debt Consolidation Loan today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Beulah, gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood. We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too? Of course we can. But we could be in deep trouble if they find out. We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami. So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles. Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas, and everybody go want come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal. So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
You try to rest, roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers. For window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located at the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
All the way from Hawkinson. They call me Cupid. We had to talk about these bus drivers today. Why they making no sense on the road? Aren't they crazy? Let's deal with them now. Let me show you. They make one way to two-way to three. The things they do, you gotta see to believe. Oh Lord, jump on this bus, it's 98 degrees. Man, this bus so broke down, ain't got no AC. Sea salt sunken in, let me off this ride. I just jump on this bus, this man want $1.25. Bus driver, why you look like that? Find the dog and cat. Man, please don't kill me for $1. I mean $1.25. Let me off this trap. I did say bus stop from trailer spot.
96.9 FM, Guardian Radio Today. If you are just tuning in, listen, you are definitely going to have to listen to the rerun of this show, because at the top of the show, we had on the Queen Bee herself, one of the greats in our society, Mistress Loretta Butler Turner, for our Woman Crush Wednesday series here on Guardian Radio Today. But this is just getting started, because the conversation about to go there today. We're about to go there. So again, we want to thank Mrs. Butler Turner for sitting down and talking to us. She didn't want to talk about too much of the politics, y'all, because I know that's all y'all was waiting on, so y'all could blow the lines up, blow the texts up. She is at peace. This woman is living her best peaceful life after politics. There is life after politics, people. She has long been a part of service, so that wasn't the only driving force for her. So again, I want to thank her so much for accepting my invitation. You want to stay tuned next week for who may be in the room. I want to get some of your text messages in, and I want to give out the numbers to be a part of today's show as we wrap up this next segment, as we get into, rather, this next segment of the show. So the numbers to call to be a part of today's show is 323-623, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from our beautiful family of islands, because there is nowhere as beautiful as the Bahamas. You can call and be a part of the show toll free at 242-300-5720. And texters, I know you know the number, But for those of you that want to text in for the first time, the number to call, well, not to call, but to text, is 422-4796. Take us everywhere you go on the Guardian Talk Radio app and streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com. This texter says, hey, Gabby, I think Michelle Malcolm would be a WCW as well. Send me Michelle Malcolm's contact. We only have so much Wednesdays in the month, but we will see what we can do. This next texter says, good afternoon, Gabby. Great show. I always admired Mistress Butler and followed her during the early years. Continue to shine in your private life. May the good Lord continue to bless and keep you, Mistress Butler Turner. This text said, Gabby, kindly ask Lady Loretta to run in Kalani. The lady already tell y'all she ain't bothering with that. That she's done with that. This texter says, good day, Gabby. This text is for you. Okay, then I will read that when I get a minute. This next texter says, my WCW is Ginger Moxie. When is she coming on the show? As soon as you have one. That'll be your show then. No offense. I mean, these are my WCWs in case you all haven't figured it out. These are some of the women that I have admired, but also that have contributed in society. Some of their names you may know, and then some of their names you may not know, because I also want to do a spin on it. And I want to bring on one or two women who are killing it in business. They may be younger. Their names you may not know yet, but I see their heart, their drive, I see their passion, and I believe that they deserve a platform, be heard. So you can say first that you remember them coming on when they were budding businesses. And now I see them as the future millionaires of society, the future influential women of the society. I want to acknowledge them too. So if you do have some of those women that you think that I should feature in that segment of the WCW, including some of our politicians, you can feel free. I'm going to post the video to my socials. You can follow me at Genius Brief, GeneasBrief. That's on Facebook. Gabrielle A. McKinsey Eneas and Gabby on TikTok. You can send me a message for your birthdays and all the women that you think should be a part of this feature, and we'll see what we can do. So be sure to follow the socials, and of course, you can contact the Guardian Radio page for all of that as well. This next texter says, good afternoon, great show. Tell Mistress Butler come back and put the government back in check. Listen, the guy say she would have been his Mia Motley. That's what they were expecting. But I want to get into today's second half of our discourse, the question that I asked Mistress Turner before she left. And I asked her about the age of consent for women in the Bahamas. And as you know, it currently stands at 16 years old. And this obviously this applies to men as well, but we are in Women's Month. So if callers and texters, everyone, excuse me, if it seems as though these issues are women-centric, but they do apply to our boys as well and our young men. But because we are in Women's Month, we are talking specifically about the woman and the women and child in honor of that month. And at 16 years old, it now causes us to pause to think. A young person cannot vote. They cannot legally drink. They cannot sign most legal agreements without a parent or guardian. Furthermore, these young women and young men, they cannot access contraceptives to even ensure that they are able to safely participate in sexual activity. But under our current laws, it says that they have the capacity to agree to engaging in sexual intercourse, particularly with people outside of their age categories. So in most places you have something called a Romeo and Juliet law, where if it is that if the children are in school, or it'll span for 3 years apart, where it might have been a 10th grader and a 12th grader, or the 12th grader may have just graduated, and them and this young person, they continue this relationship. So it gives some flexibility for that. We ain't talking about that today. We're not talking about the Romeo and Juliet situation. We're talking about the predatory behavior that continue to persist in our society. And who does it serve for these young people to be able to consent to giving their bodies in a way that they are still learning themselves? They can't do nothing else. They can't even give birth without the parent coming to sign them out the hospital. And we are saying as a society that it is okay for these young women to say, yes, I want to do this with this man who is sometimes twice and even 3 times their age. So when we talk about advocating and the protection of our women and girls, this is an issue that I really, really wanted to bring to the forefront today and speak to in this second segment of the show. And I want you, the listeners, I want you, the callers, you, the engagers, you, the activists, the educators, the parents, the mothers, the fathers, I want you to chime in on this. Is this a serious issue, or is this something that we just overreacting, blowing up, and it should just remain what it is? I see we have some callers on the line, and I don't want to keep you waiting any longer. So callers, I'm going to invite you to be a part of the conversation. Good afternoon. Welcome to Guardian Radio Today with Gabby. Caller, are you there?
It's Gabby.
Hi, yes it is.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, thank God for life as usual. This is the blind one, Papa.
Hi, Papa, to the show.
Hey, I was wondering if you, so far, you say these are your picks you bring on.
Yes, these are my picks, Papa. These are my picks. My WCWs.
WCW. Okay,
yes.
So far, you had 2 WCW, which you had on. I might have missed some.
No, we only had 2 so far.
Dr. Melinda Wilson.
Uh-huh.
And Miss Loretta Turner Butler.
Correct.
I spend time more time with Miss Butler than Madam President, Dr. Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And you never to tell us what she get the doctor agree with, because we have a strong feeling of just there ain't no honorary doctor degree where they give some people give donations.
No.
She must take course for. And
yes, she did. She has an extensive education background.
If Glennis Martin could be one of your favorites too.
You have to stay tuned.
You could invite her on.
You have to stay tuned and find out. So Glennis Martin and who else? You have to stay tuned.
Okay, sorry. And if you could, whilst we stay in tune, the lady, Dr. MacGyver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dr. MacGyver. If you could get her to come, Veronica MacGyver, to come on, we would appreciate it. We really would appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Papa.
Yeah.
And only because it's you, I taking this call over the airway like that.
Because you said we must email it and stuff to you.
Yes, you can send it to my, and you can send me a DM on my socials, comment on my page, any of my pages, with your pics. I see people are sending text messages with their pics. So what I'm going to do for you all, for my listeners, I am going to introduce a fan favorite. So whoever you tell me is the whoever gets the most reactions or the most comments or the most DMs about, I am going to bring them on the show as a fan favorite, WCW. Okay? So all the people that won Glennis, all the people that won Leslie, I see people are texting about, Orinthia people are texting about. I see your texters.
You saying the girls them having sex so early?
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
Listen, I can go right now. I just believe, I might be wrong, but I believe not just women in general. I believe mothers encouraging this too. And I'm talking about just prostituting their daughters. They be secretive to the daddy and, do some things, then the daddy don't know nothing. And then when the daddy get the final, he's surprised. Sometimes the fathers are missing not because they want to be missing. Either the mommy don't like them or the court written out money and stuff like that. So that's our problem right there too. We got to get that daddy not back in the home, a part of the children's life. The little boys are being molested also, but the girls, the mother making them think these women, they can't on. I only can think the mothers, they must see could die soon, and they want to see their children up, see their grandchildren before they dead. That's all. Because that's a bunch of nastiness, stupidness. Sorry, but that keep up the good way.
Thank you so much, Papa. I appreciate you always. I want to take this next phone call. Listen, we do apologize for the wait, but we wanted to get through the discourse. Welcome to Guardian Radio today.
Hello.
Hi, you're live.
Good evening, Gabby. Sparky here.
Hi, Sparky.
Calling in early today. Said to call in before he closed.
I appreciated you. Follow instructions well, Sparky. Go ahead.
I was trying my best to get in with Miss Loretta Butler Turner because I know her.
Uh-huh.
From a long.
Yeah, she's listening to the show, so she still can hear you. So go ahead. She's not in studio, but she can hear you.
Of queens. First of all, her grandmother, the wife of Samaya Butler.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother, the wife of Mr. Raleigh Butler. Herself, the wife of a wonderful husband that she had to put to rest, Mr. Turner. We all knew her from the pawn. She grew up with the Isaacs. Madam Dame Isaacs, the Hylers, the Enuses, Gully Enus, and all of those people from the pawn. The Fountains, of which I am a family member. And I admire you picking out these women.
Thank you so
much.
much.
And there's something I've wanted to say that I've preached many years. That the women in this country who did so much for this country, Gabi.
Yes, sir.
Who went untold about.
Mm-hmm.
Who they did not honor at Government House.
Mm-hmm.
At the Ministry of Tourism.
Mm-hmm.
At the House of Assembly. In the many big churches. I can name one, Gabi, if you might say I'm boasting. In 1958, my mother, Gwendolyn Mercedes Roy Mins Pender Fountain, gave Gus Cooper and 10th Street the first sponsorship to start the Valley Boys. 67 years later, my mother has never been honored by any Junkanoo group, any Junkanoo committee, any government house, any ministry of tourism. And look what Junkanoo is today. When she gave Gus Cooper the money to start the Valley Boys, back then half of us who still rush on Bay Street couldn't go to Bay Street because they thought it was taboo. So the parents didn't used to let most of the sons go to Bay Street. We had to sneak away. But my mother made sure that me, my brother, and my cousin went down with the Valley Boys for the first lap with Malcolm Gas Station sponsorship, where she worked there in the day, and then she worked at the hospital at night as a switchboard operator.
Yes, sir.
And she died
And we
at 46 years old.
appreciate that, Sparky, and we appreciate your mom for that. So that's a moment to briefly honor her in this moment. And I want to thank you again so much for your call and calling in. So I allowed you that moment to honor your mother. And there are a lot of unsung heroes, a lot of unsung women in this society. So for me, it isn't about necessarily who got the accolades during their time. It's about just recognizing women who's contributing in a way that sometimes they don't even know it. It's amazing because before I even called Mistress Turner, she may not even have known my name. She might have seen me in passing a few times. We've actually been at events the same time, but that isn't what this thing is about. It's about honoring women who are continuing to make an impact and who've made an impact in the next generation, in the lives of millennials, in the lives of Gen Zs that are now coming up and watching them, standing on the shoulders of those women of the suffrage movement, standing on the Mary Walker's shoulders, sitting on the Dame Ivy Dumont's shoulders, standing on the Roma Italia Johnson, on the Dame Janet Boswick, standing on their shoulders. This thing continues to build. And we've honored them all the time, and we've continued to honor them. But this sometimes is about the women that continued their this thing is about the women that continued their legacy and have made them proud. I would hope in a way that we all would remember. Carl, I want to invite you to the conversation today. as we continue to honor these women and really talk about the age of consent, the things that our young girls are going through today, and even by extension, our young men in society. Should this age of consent remain at 16 years old? Who is it benefiting? Welcome to Guardian Radio today.
Hey, great show, Gabby. And I guess how you doing?
Thank you.
Right, and now you know certain things I say don't really be all that radio appropriate, right?
And hold on. Let me do the disclaimer. I need you to think about it. I give you a good minute before I answer this call. Think about it. Don't drop no bombs. And don't drop nothing what could cost much you.
Yeah, but let me get on to my conversation.
Go ahead.
This situation being an issue, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This being an issue from years ago and actually centuries ago. The only difference is now, right, social media is now out there now to expose the nastiness. What's been going on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. But there's always was an issue. The only problem is it used to be called a family secret.
So can I ask you a question? So is your generation then guilty? Because we in Lent still now. You all know I rubbing this in, I driving this all the way home in this Christian, and I put that in quotation marks, nation that we call ourselves. In this Christian society, your generation, and I say us as Bahamians and everyone who's been a part of this, by extension, has kept this secret and has kept this thing going to the point where we now have injured and broken adults in society?
Okay, let me ask, how old are you?
Me? I'm 31 years old.
You're 31 years old, right?
Yes.
I'm 47 going on 48.
Mm-hmm.
This been going on way before my time. This ain't got nothing to do with my generation.
Mm-hmm.
This been going on the generation before that, the generation before that. This been going on from centuries ago. Jesus them used to get married at 18, you know.
Uh-huh. So you think now, child brides, we should continue decades old, centuries old practices, and we should allow because these girls now are seeing periods at much younger ages. We have 8-year-olds having periods, and a period means that your body is being prepared to be able to conceive a child. That's what that means. So you're telling me, and so when we talk about those things, they used to say first blood, when they start to see that first blood. You're telling me now in 2026 that it should be okay, it should be appropriate for as early as an 8-year-old to carry a child who barely know how to wipe their private parts good?
Okay, I'll have 2 words for that. Hell no.
Thank you so much, caller. Next caller, welcome to Guardian Radio today with Gabby.
Hey, Gabby, how you doing? Okay. You know, as the previous caller said, there's a little difference. I know what he said was definitely true. But one of the things that, you know, I find kind of interesting, I don't believe a child should be able at the age of 16 to say, or whatever the case may be, according to the law. I truly believe that, when you can make good, sound decisions, probably within your 20s, then you can be considered, legal as far as that's concerned. But one of the things I found very interesting, and I think that it goes to an even deeper core, is a lot of us, if not all of us, in our grandparents, great-grandparents, when we do a search back, a lot of them were getting married at 13, 14,
how did that turn out?
15. How do we then look inwardly at where we came from and understanding the culture of what we were doing back in those days? I always found it very interesting, that I would say anyone that's well over 60 or 55 in this modern society had to have experienced that somewhere in their family within the Bahamas. And I'd just like to hear what the view of what people were thinking back in those days, and comparable to what we're looking at things nowadays.
Low education.
Back in the day, they would be considered what we're considering today.
Predators.
So how do we position that? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Listen, you just opened up the dialogue even greater. Because you also had a lot of them back in the day, if we're completely honest. The majority of our grand or great-grandparents had minimal to no education at all. So they didn't even know. So all of the access to resources and information, it was non-existent for them. So these things were happening in sort of maybe a bubble per se. Now that we've advanced, and they say when you know better, you do better. Now that we've advanced and we have access to information, science, technology, research, and we know when the human mind develops and the brain develops, and when a girl has come into her full growth, when she starts to develop breasts and pubic hairs, and when her brain can fully function as a woman, and she can begin to start to make more rational decisions. We know when these things happen now because we have access to information. We know when a young boy is at his full peak because we have access to information. And with all of the access to information, we still see it fit here in the Bahamas because they always say charity starts at home and ends abroad. Sweep your own doorstep before you worry about what's happening anywhere else. We still see it fit for 16-year-old girls who cannot go. And even if we're saying, okay, these girls then can consent to this sexual activity, we didn't even see it. Lawmakers, policymakers, I'm talking to y'all who go in there every day running on with a bunch of nonsense half of the time. More than half of the time, y'all ain't doing nothing. Being a member of parliament is a really part-time job. It's really a part-time job. That's why they say y'all only need to make $28,000. A lot of the things, y'all are legislators. Legislators, what are you doing? There are so many groups. Shouts out to Zonta and all of the women organizations that are advocating for women, girls, and the protection of our young children, young men, everything. Shouts out to you all. But legislators, you have these groups, you want to take photos with these groups, and you want to say, oh, well, this is what we're doing. Where we sat with these the chairman of this group and we discussed and this thing. We even have the spouses of our leadership that go and are part of these organizations. Yet we cannot have legislation that is effective and reflects the same. As a 16-year-old, you cannot walk into any government clinic and say, or any pharmacy and say, can I have some PrEP? Because I having sex with a man and I need to make sure that I am not exposed to any sexually transmitted diseases. You cannot even say, can I have some of these condoms or whatever, other contraceptives, birth control, all of these things as a woman, as a 16-year-old young lady. So you're not a woman technically yet. You're not even a woman yet. You cannot go anywhere and say this, but you could say, yeah, you could come pounce all over me. In our society, that makes sense for you all? You are okay. Men, you are okay with your daughters. And I find it crazy because the second a lot of these men have a daughter, it's all of a sudden the rules don't apply to them. The same rules what apply to someone else's daughter don't apply to them. I remember vividly. And I listened to Erin Green. Shouts out to Erin. She has some of the most provocative, thought-provoking shows ever. She's another woman in media that I admired, along with her and Mary Jane. And she had a show on early. I was able to catch it. And she was talking about public transportation. And I said, Jesus, Erin Mussey was in my mind because I wanted to talk about a variation of that. In that we have our young girls. And this has been going on, like the guys say, from time. I remember going to school and catching a bus and the young girls sitting up at the front of the bus. I thought, but they didn't ride bus all day. Sometimes they ain't even gone to school. There was a particular woman, it was actually a close neighbor. Her husband, I want you to listen carefully to what I'm saying. Her husband loved school-age girls. Loved them. To the point where, and this is society, see, y'all want to act like y'all had it all together and wonder why we got what we got here. Her husband used to go with the school-age girls to the point where this woman used to be coming on the bus to fight the school-age, just a grown woman coming on the bus to fight the school-age girls for her husband. These things happening, they driving. Chris over here startled Chris. The woman used to come because she know her husband did like little girls. Ain't no other way to put it. School-age girls, I talking about. They in the uniforms. They in the CV battle uniforms. They in the CI uniforms. They in the high school uniforms. And he cutting up and giving them monies and doing all these things to the point it got where she became physical with teenage girls. These things been happening in our society. And we perpetuated them as though it is normal behavior. We don't check it. We just go and it's like you don't see this. It is what it is. I mean, I had to been so green at a lot of times when I think back at the predatory behavior that was even perpetuated at me. I walked home from school, coming home from school. I might have even been at AF Adley then. I don't even remember when it really started. And this I always tell this story of these men. They were older men and they used to be under the tree right in the Grove Mine, Crooked Island Street. I could tell the story. Some of them dead now. And I walking home, and of course I never really expressed this to my mother because I never thought anything of it. I was green. And the guy saying, 3 more Canap season. 2 more Canap season. 1 more Canap season. And I don't understand what he talking about because I used to call it the unemployment tree. All I know is a bunch of fellas used to be under this tree, Chris, sitting down, slamming domino, and trying to holler at women all day. I said they could not have had jobs or anything. They probably 2 to 1 were selling drugs. Some of them were known drug dealers to the community. Let's be honest, if we have a real conversation about this. And lo and behold, to me, as I got older and I started to replay that story in my head, Canap season, this guy is counting down the time when it would be lawful for him to approach me in a sexual way. This happening in our society. Social media has now made these things prevalent where our young people are now no longer as afraid because now they can post their stories online. They can post things anonymously and get help. But these things have been going on for decades and almost millennials in our society. And nobody who's speaking out about it. Why haven't our legislators seriously enacted things that are going to protect our children? So today when I heard Aaron talking about the public transportation, why aren't there buses that are licensed during school hours, during the time when school age and only school children can ride these buses? And like somebody mentioned, that there are resource officers that are in the front seat of those buses, making sure that those children get on the bus and get off of the bus and are going to school during school hours. And the buses are marked so that during this time, only school-age student, and if they're riding with a parent, accompanied by a parent, may ride the bus. No one else. so that we can make sure we're talking about the children ain't getting to school, this thing and the next thing happening. All these things are happening. We haven't even gotten our public transportation. We have school buses. And we wonder why the traffic's so bad in the morning. I say every morning, thank you, Jesus. I don't have to come out the house before 10 o'clock. Because the traffic is terrible. The parents that care, they don't want their children walking and roaming the streets no more. It ain't safe out there. We haven't forgotten about the Bellas and the Adriel Moxies of this. We ain't forgot about them. We ain't forgot about the boys in Grand Bahama all those years ago that were abducted, raped, and buried. We haven't forgotten. So then what? We haven't forgotten about them Marco Archers. So what then are we doing as a society to protect our children from this behavior, from these things happening? Or are we going to just continue to turn a blind eye and wait till it's too late or it reaches to our doorstep? Then all of a sudden, it must be stopped. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to Guardian Radio today.
Hey, good afternoon, Gabi.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Gabi, you made an interesting point, right? I've been listening, right? The thing is, I always call it talk shows, right? In the Bahamas, we have a systemic problem of dealing with just issues. Right? You look at the fact that the prison officer shot the dog the other day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that dog's supposed to be fenced in the yard. That was illegal. If you look around Nassau, who's guiding that part of the law?
Mm-hmm.
Who's enforcing that part of the law, right? You have kids at 16 giving consent and they can't even vote.
Mm-hmm.
These are simple things. That we have.
Mm-hmm.
And someone gets murdered. There are 2 murders in Freeport, I think, the other day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are desensitized.
Mm-hmm.
No one is really checking. The Bahamian people, I think we saw to the point that we need effective leadership to bring us back into the fold.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know what I mean? But as a Bahamian, I'm just looking around and it's like, the system we have in place, why can't we get working? What's the problem?
We can't.
You can't get nothing in this country, nothing done properly.
And this is what I'm saying. There are so many low-hanging fruit for our legislators if they are serious about it. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. For our legislators to really deal with on a consistent basis, really going through our Constitution and seeing what it is in there, going through our laws and acts that are still contradicting each other and it's not reflective of the society that we live in today. Text us. I want to read some of your text messages. Call us. We're going to get back to the phone line very shortly because we're running out of time. But we're going to continue this dialogue. Oh, most certainly we're going to continue this. This texter says, hey, Gabby, I was just saying this no one campaigns or touches the topic to change the age of consent. Yes, and the law is contradicted because the man was charged with kidnapping because a young lady was 16 and it was consensual, but the girl slept by him. So she could do the horizontal hokey pokey, but can't give permission to sleep. So just hit her and then send her home. Well, what in the Narnia is going on? This man could be charged with kidnapping. And he had sex with your 16-year-old daughter. But the only thing he could be charged with is kidnapping because you didn't have sex with her and sent her home. What a time we living in. This next texter says, Gabby, big grown women can't control their desires. So imagine a young woman coming into herself. As the caller said, women married young. When does a girl become a woman? The best time for a woman to give birth is when she is young. We calling things progress, but is society better than yesterday? Think. In other cultures today, women still marry young. We've allowed westernized cultures to cause us to turn things taboo. When is a girl a woman, Gabby? That's the question we asking today. When is she? Are you okay with your 16-year-old daughter marrying somebody and having a child? Because we also have modern medication and treatments and access. So I don't think waiting till 18 years old, anything with fertility is going to be missed out. I don't think she's still in her prime at 18 years old. Still in her prime. I think it's just giving permission for sexual predators to say that it is okay. That's what I think it is. I don't think it has anything to do with the westernized system. I think it was awful then. I think they were children, still in a child's mindset. We love to predicate this thing about the Bible. Once when I was a child, I did childish things. These children still playing Roblox. They still playing Roblox, Chris. And asking you for money. And you trying to say, you think these children, we have science and modernized technology. They cannot make adult decisions. They cannot rationalize. So imagine them. We see the result of children raising children now playing out in our society. Look at what we got. And you trying to tell me, caller, this texter trying to tell me that we've allowed the westernized system to make this thing taboo. What say you? Welcome to Guardian Radio today.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Madam, you have a good show. Let me tell you what the real problem is. If you notice now, the Western, that our texts are trying to say, they're now holding parents accountable when their child shoot up a school. So America now is getting it that you're not matured enough to even handle a gun in America. So now what they're doing, they're holding the parents accountable. So what we need to do is do the same thing here. Hold these parents accountable. Listen to me. I'm a cab driver. And sometimes, Gabby, I have a 6:45 run, 7 run, and Gabby, I see the school children on the bus stop by themselves. Where's the mom? Where's the dad? This is crazy. This can't be happening. You understand me? How could you let a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, 9-year-old stand on the bus stop? Now it's daylight saving time. It's dark while you home. The problem is, the parents trying to grow these kids up so fast, so they won't have the responsibility of them. These parents need to be held accountable. It's crazy. You understand me? Even walking home from school, I see big sister, 9-year-old, going to the preschool to pick up her little brother who's 2 years old. That's nuts. These parents have to be held accountable. This has nothing to do with no permission at 16, permission at 15. Hold these parents accountable, and once you click around, this nonsense is going to stop. You put your 5-year-old on the bus, and you can tell the bus driver, make sure my child get up. You know why I can say that? Because I was. I used to get mad because I don't be responsible for nobody's children. Because the minute the child will show up, who they can blame, Gabby?
You.
I told the bus driver to watch out for my child. No, the devil is a liar. Make these laws to hold these parents accountable now. It's ridiculous. Have a good day, Gabby.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Listen to me. I want to get somebody during one of these. I have to get somebody from the Department of Social Services because we have a problem. There are so many people that even report issues and there's no follow up. We have a problem in this country with follow up. I talk about even when we find abuse taking place in these homes, and when you report it, the children are either left in the state or the state that that social services removes them from. There's nobody following up on the case, nobody checking back to make sure that the children are okay. We have a serious issue and we are seriously out of time, y'all. But I want to get in these last few texts before we go. And we're going to continue this conversation next week on Wednesday. And of course, listen, I tell y'all have to send me, go to my pages. You got TikTok, you got Facebook, go to them. On Facebook, you can find me GENEASBRIEF. Send me who you want. Is your fan favorite who you want to be featured on this series as your WCW. I am going to do that for you, my listeners. So this text says, good day, and your experience is just a sample of what took place. Imagine nowadays, the illegals are leading the way with all the sexual dominant and promiscuity. Some of Haitians are leading the way, and this sells. I don't think this is, I'm going to stop right there in this text because I don't think this has anything to do with them. I think this has been happening with Bahamians. This says, This texter says, Gabby, don't we call ourselves collectively a Christian? Well, what age did Mary have a baby? Just something to think about. That's why I opened up the lines for it. This texter says, allow me to say we dropped the ball a long time when the country doesn't care. This last text says, you may want to have Arinthia in the studio. Okay, I will think about it. And this next texter says, our society need major help. Social services is up to the task, my dear. We will see. Listen, it's been such a great time with you. Again, at the top of the show, we had the legendary Loretta Butler Turner in studio for our WCW series. And then we wrap things up with, the age of consent. We're going to continue this dialogue throughout the month of March, talking about these things. I am Gabrielle A. McKenzie Anius. You affectionately call me Gabby, and I'm so happy to be in your company. It's not rocket science, it's GNES. Have a great afternoon. Talking Heads is up next with Naughty and Mary Jane.
You got to be